here. I'm here to do my end of July, all of August book haul. I still have like a week left, but I don't foresee myself getting any more books, honestly. And I did say this like last year, but in the summer I have like a lot of like free time. So I go shopping a lot just because I have a lot of free time. So these are the books that I just kind of like picked up, and also it was my birthday. And I went shopping. I went on a trip to Virginia with my cousin. And when I go to a new location, I always tend to buy a lot of books. I caught up with a couple of different friends that went to conventions, and I did some book trading. Um, so this haul is pretty big, but it's probably going to be the last massive book haul until New York City Comic Con. I can't promise that I'll have like no more books, but I do have a lot. So let's get into the haul. This book, I will definitely share it with you guys. Um, I should probably know where I got them all. But the first book is actually I was in Virginia, and this lovely old lady who was staying at the complex that I was staying at saw that I love to read, so she wound up gifting me a copy of Where the Crawdad Sings by Delia Owens. This is like a 1950s murder mystery. I know that it was a part of the Reese Witherspoon book club, and she seemed to really enjoy it. And I really have been wanting to get into more historical fiction, and I love a good mystery, so hopefully I enjoy it. Also, in that trip, there was a bunch of um, there was a bunch of thrift stores. So a lot of these books that I got there were thrift stores, and I finally just wound up picking up The Alchemist: The Secrets of the Immortal Nicholas Flamel. This is book one, and I actually have seen these books so much in so many different covers. But I've actually ever since seeing The Crimes of Grindelwald been interested more about him. I know this is like a fictional retelling, but I was more intrigued. And a friend of mine wound up having an extra copy of Throw Like a Girl by Sarah Hennon. This book says it comes out in January, but I feel like it's coming out earlier than that. But it's about a girl named Liv, and well, one sad experience, she winds up punching someone, and that winds up getting rid of her scholarship at a fancy boarding school. And she's forced to transfer back to the town public school, um, where she's where she'll have to convince their coach she deserves a spot on their softball team. And then she winds up dealing with Enter Gray, the injured store quarterback, with perfect hair and even more perfect plan. If Liv joins the sport, he'll make sure she gets a spot on the softball team in the spring. But it'll take a lot for the new school to accept a former enemy as one of their own. And behind the charming Skylar Gray may not be so perfect after all. So that sounds really good. I don't often read sports-themed romances, but this sounds interesting, and I really do like Sarah Henning as an author. I really do need to pick up Sea Witch Rising soon, but when my friend said she had an extra copy, I grabbed it. I had no luck this year getting books from Hachette at BEA like at all, so I was happy. And it was Rip, so I feel like I would take it off her hands. And then I also went to a book signing at Books of Wonder in the city, and I wound up picking up a copy of Soul of the Stars. Ashley Poston wasn't there, but finding this book like in like the stores was a little bit challenging where I live. So when I saw it, and this is just a duology, and I actually really did like Heart of Iron, so hopefully I'll get around to reading it, and I will save it so when I get to see Ashley Poston, hopefully next year she can sign it for me. And then my friend gave me a bunch of gifts for my birthday, and she also goes to conventions as well. But the first she gave me was Nimue by Noelle Stevens. This is a graphic novel. I know that she says she really liked it, and we tend to have really, really similar tastes. And I tend to read graphic novels like a little bit faster, so I'll definitely put this in my graphic novel pile, and I will probably hopefully read it this fall. My friend also wound up giving me a copy of The Kingdom by Jess Rothenberg. I know that this is kind of like it's kind of like it's about like a dark theme park. I know my friend generally liked it, but that's all that I know. So, and then these are all separated, but I know that I today I went to Barnes and Noble, and I went to like the book haul bash, and I wound up picking up 4 books. And I wound up getting, one was The Unicorn Quest by Camilla Binko, and I actually have an arc of the second book that I got last year at BEA, but I never had the first one. So when I saw it, I was like, you know what, I'll grab it, and hopefully I'll get to read it, and then I'll be able to go back to that other book. But it's about 2 girls, and they wind up getting sucked into like this fantasy world, and it has to do with unicorns. It reminds me a little bit of the Unicorn Rescue Society, but this one has 2 girls in the lead, and they're sisters, and I really hope that I like it because it sounds super cute. And then my friend also gifted me a copy of Keeper of the Lost Cities Flashback. So now my book is totally complete. Well, my series is totally complete. All the books that are currently out. I really hope that I like it, and I'm really enjoying the series. Right now I'm reading Everblaze. This book is massive. This book is close to 800 pages. So hopefully I'll get to read this one soon as I catch up. And then my friend Sarah was lucky enough to get a copy of Loki at BEA that dropped. I wasn't even there for, but I heard it was like a disaster. So I went. She was there. She wound up loaning me her copy so I could read it. I know nothing about it. I really like Loki, and I'm sure that I'll love it. And this comes out in September, so I have to get a move on and read it so I can give it back to her. My friend also gifted me a copy of Foundryside by Robert Jackson Bennett. I heard about this book on Reagan's from Peruse Project's channel, and she said she really liked it, and I wanted to dive into a little bit more adult fantasy. I've been trying to read those waters, so this was one that she gifted me for my birthday, so hopefully I get around to reading it soon, and I will enjoy it. And then she wound up giving me a copy of Theater Ghost, and for those that don't know, I'm a theater teacher. And I might actually wind up reading this to my kids in some of my classes, or even like making it like a reading assignment, but I'll actually read it too. It's like a really, really short book. It's like 130 pages. But it's like, I think it's like a novelization. I think it's inspired by true stories. So that's exciting. This was actually a really, really fun find. We have a lot of like used bookstores in the city, and I wound up finding a copy of Never Fade, an Arc by Alexandra Bracken, and I saw this and I was like, oh my god, this so has to come home with me. This is probably one of my favorite like dystopian series ever, and I see her a lot, so definitely wind up putting this in my personal collection, and I'll wind up just getting it signed eventually to me because I've just never saw an arc of her book, especially the earlier ones. So when I saw this is definitely coming home with me. I wound up making a trade of The Starless Sea. I wound up getting The Guinevere Deception by Kiersten White. This is another like Arthurian thing. And I think that Princess Guinevere is like a shapeshifter, I think. But she has to wind up saving Camelot. So that sounds really cool. This book is also really, really short. This book is like maybe like just over 300 pages. So I think I could read this at a pretty quick fast pace. I also went to the Bells and the Murder Trending event, and I got to meet all those authors, and I wound up picking up a copy of The Everlasting Rose, which is a sequel to The Bells, and I actually really wound up enjoying The Bells and loving it, so hopefully I get to read this book soon. And this is in perfect time for the fall. My friend wound up giving me a copy of His Hideous Heart, which is an anthology of 13 of Edward Poe's most unusual tales reimagined, including original tales. So yeah, there's both, typical tales, and then there's tales that are, original, which I think is kind of cool. And I'll definitely wind up reading this hopefully in the month of October, and I will put this on my fall TBR. This is another book that I picked up from the Barnes & Noble book haul, The Lost Roses. I also have the Lilac Girls in here as well. But this is a thing set in... This is featured Carolina's mother, Elizabeth, and follows 3 equally Tamil women from St. Petersburg to Paris under the shadow of World War I. So I think this book is about World War I, and the Lilac Girls might be about World War II. But this was one that I got from that sale. So I've been I really do want to diversify my reading a little bit and read a little bit more historical fiction, a little bit more adult fantasy. So that's why some of these books are not my normal genres. I also wanted picking up The Paris Seamstress by Natasha Lister. I heard about this on Super Space Chick channel, and I might actually wind up making this one of my next reads. It's set in Readers of Lilac Girls and the Nightingale comes an unforgettable World War II novel that spans generations, crosses oceans, and proves just how 2 young women are willing to sacrifice for love and family. So that sounds awesome. And I also wound up getting The Lost Girls of Paris, which is another historical fiction book. Centered around 3 women and a ring of female secret agents during World War II. So that sounds awesome and incredible. And I also have the first book in this. I just don't know where it went right now, but I also picked up Blood of Elves with the novel of The Witcher by Andrzej Sapkowski. And I do actually have the first one. I just don't remember where I put it, which is a collection of short stories. So I do need to read these in order, but this is the only one that I could find. And I do have a copy of Chaos Walking because I know that movie by Tom Holland is coming out soon, and I wanted to read the first book. But that's in the closet. I don't feel like going to get it. Also, these are the last books from the Barnes & Noble sale. The Last Voyage of Poi Blight by Ali Condi. And this is like she's like, I think it's like a pirate bookstore. That's all that I know. And I finally wound up getting a copy of Decon's Superman Dawnbreaker. This is so funny because I have read every single book in the series except for Wonder Woman, which I'm just going to probably just read this and then hopefully eventually get back to Wonder Woman. But I really do like Superman. I'm kind of hopeful that he might become more prevalent in the DC TV universe. But yeah. And this was when I went to Virginia. I wound up picking up another historical fiction book called The Daughter of Sherlock Holmes. And I think this is like kind of like a murder mystery. So that's exciting. And then I think these are all from Virginia. I wound up getting The Perilous Benedict Society and The Perilous Journey. I don't remember what number this was, but this is one of the Benedict Society books. I also wound up getting 2 copies of some just like cozy mysteries, and I really just wanted to get something that's easy to read, easy to dive into. So these were the ones I picked up: Nowhere to Be Found, Secrets of the Blue Hill Library, and Secrets of Mary's Bookshop Hidden Meeting. I don't know if these are book 1 or book 2, but I just wound up storing them, and I know that I had a struggle towards the end of last year reading stuff that was like really like intense. So I feel like having those might just be like a nice break when I need it. And I also wound up picking up Star Wars from a Certain Point of View, and it includes a bunch of different authors: Madeline Rue, Meg Cabot, Ray Carson, Zoraida Cordova, Claudia Gray, Chuck Wendig, Will Wheaton, and they all write stories from a certain point of view. And they have a bunch of different types of stories. And I really hope that I get around to reading this soon, because I actually really like Star Wars. So this is gonna fall. I also wound up picking a copy of Skyward by Brandon Sanderson, and this is about a flight school. And I read Aurora Rising recently. I've just been trying to get some more books in the same vein, and this is the one that I wound up picking up. In that same shopping trip, I also wound up picking up a copy of York by Laura Ruby. This is like a former Owl Crate Jr. book that I always heard really good things about and just never got around to reading. And my friend also had a copy of The Last Word by Samantha Hastings, and this is another historical fiction book, but it's about a girl, and she's shocked to learn that her favorite author has died before completing her story, and she goes on a mission to find out how the story is supposed to end. And we're almost to the end. And I did wind up getting The Mysterious Benedict Society and The Prisoner's Dilemma. I don't know what number this is. And as I said earlier, I also picked up Lilac Girls. And this one I think is set in World War II. So World War I and World War II. So yeah, that's my last book that I'll have for a while for you guys. But don't you fret, I have so much to read. But yeah, I'll talk to you guys later, hopefully in the beginning of October for another book haul. But let me know in the comments what book you're most excited to see me review, or what are some books you got this month, and I'll talk to you guys later for another update.